Hi guys. So I know I promised a couple of weeks back I'll provide with some information, make a video about online teaching. I'm so sorry it's taken this long. I have been working every day, like afternoons and evenings until like 8:30. So it's just been a bit hectic. But I have a break now. I did a 4-hour session and I have another class in like an hour. So I'll do this video. So I've written down a couple of points and I'll probably just discuss them with you guys. So like what is online teaching really, or English teaching, English second language teaching. You are essentially teaching children or adults how to speak English, or teach them English online. You work through a company, and there's usually two different companies. So either you can work for a company that will provide you with the material, they'll provide you with the students, and they will set up your classes for you, or alternatively you can sign up with a company that will basically provide you with a place to advertise yourself, where you set your own rate and then people log into this reputable company and then they like read your bio and say, okay, cool, I want to have a lesson with this person. So those are two different ways. They have different upsides and different downsides. You just need to figure out for yourself, but I would highly recommend as a newcomer, definitely probably work for a company that will provide you with the students, so that you can gain that experience, and then you can always go off on your own and set your own hourly rate. You'll teach students from all over the world, so it depends on the company you work for. The company I work for example, has children and adults in China, so I mostly teach mainland China and Taiwan, and a little bit of Japan. But there's also companies that have students in South America, in Europe, other parts of Asia. So it all depends on the company that you will work for, and students of different ages, starting from little kids like 5 years old up until like the other day I taught people that are retired, so any age. So why is it so big now? Why is it such a prevalent job at the moment? There's a lot of need for English. I think people have kind of gotten to a point where they realize if they want to succeed in education or business, they need to be able to speak the English language. So parents are pushing their kids to take extra English lessons outside of school, because let's face it, second language in schools isn't always that great. How many of you can speak Afrikaans? So they push their kids to take it so that they can get into like universities abroad in America and England so far, or just to be able to speak English one day. And then business people take it so that they can communicate with their counterparts all over the world. We finally have like the infrastructure in place worldwide for people to be able to use the internet as a means of communicating. So it's made it much more easily accessible and cheaper for people to be able to actually take English lessons. Who would this job be perfect for? Anyone. I think it's ideal for anyone who's looking for a bit of flexibility in their life. Someone who's tired of the 9 to 5 and wants to kind of define their own hours. Someone who's looking for a second source of income. If you can pick up classes, in the evening, or maybe you work half day, that's great. For students or someone who's maybe doing their research and they have some time on their hands, someone who's retired. Plenty of the other teachers that I work with are retirees. A lot of them are retired teachers, but not all of them. Some of them had other professions. Stay-at-home parents, or anyone that needs to spend more time at home for whatever reason. Someone who's in between jobs. Let's face it, it's a cruel world at the moment, and I know South African economy isn't doing great. So if you're still kind of looking for work, perhaps this could be a little filler. And then if you are like me and your intention is to travel, this is a fantastic way to make some money on the road. So benefits of online teaching, number one, 100% flexibility. This is in terms of your time is more flexible, where you work is more flexible. I wake up in the morning, I go to gym, I make breakfast, I have some time to relax, and then I start working, because I don't like to wake up early in the morning and go to work. So I'll rather work till like 8:30 at night than wake up early and work. So that for me is ideal. The other upside to it is you get paid in dollars. So as a newcomer, you might not earn like a huge amount, but with time you can really start to set your own hourly wage and earn good money. So like I've seen some teachers online that earn like between $30 and $40 per hour. So I worked it out. If you work 5 days, just 5 days a week for 5 hours, it's about $3,000 to $4,000 a month, which in rands is 45 to 60,000 rand for working 5 hours a day. So it's not bad. What do you need to teach? A computer, a video camera. It can be the video camera in your computer, and a really good internet line. I know South Africa is having issues at the moment with their internet, but hopefully it will get figured out soon. Most companies do prefer degrees, but not all. So you do need to just figure out which ones work for you. You need to do a TEFL course. I'll chat to you just now about that. Native English speaker, so it needs to be your first language. Some companies don't see South Africa as a native English speaking country. I have literally no idea why. But some countries do. I mean, some companies do. So also, once again, check the company, what their preferences are. Or there are companies who are open to non-native speakers, so then you can apply to those as well. You need a quiet space to teach. So if you're going to be teaching from home, make sure that you do have that available. If you are teaching on the road like me, make sure that your accommodation has that available. Otherwise, yeah, you have some problems. And some schools do want you to have some experience, but there's a way to get around it. I'll talk to you about that later. And then patience. If you're not a patient person, this is not going to be the job for you. You need patience. I have gone from teaching like someone who is advanced, which is great because I can have a normal conversation with them and really, develop a good dialogue, to the next lesson teaching someone who is literally beginner level 1, where I am telling them, dog, this is a dog, and they have to repeat that 7 times because they can't say the word dog. Patience is key. Okay, cool. So TEFL, I mentioned TEFL. So you can do a TEFL or a TESL course. I've done a little bit of research, and for the purpose of teaching online, it doesn't matter which one you do. There really is no difference, and all the applications I've ever made to English online teaching companies, they've pretty much said TEFL or TESL. So it's not an issue, or TrainSmash, whichever one you can find that is the cheapest, that's the one that you want to go with. So you do it online. You don't need to go in and do it somewhere or at a school, because you're not going to be teaching children face to face. It's online, so that's all you need. You need to choose one that's a minimum of 120 hours. That's kind of the minimum that schools take these days. I found a really great course on Hyperly. I don't know if it's great, but it did the trick. Hyperly, which is the old Groupon. I think I paid like 400 Rand for it. It was marked down from like 3K to like 400 Rand, something stupid. And it was fine. I did a little bit of research, found out that they're reputable. Other people have managed to find jobs using this company's TEFL course. They are accredited with Accreditat. Accreditat is the international accreditation body for TEFL, and your certificate needs to be accredited with them in order for your certificate to be seen as worthy. So make sure that the school or the company that you do your TEFL course through is accredited with Accreditat. I'll also put a link below of the company that I used to do it. I actually contacted them not like a week or so ago, and they said that they can offer discounts. And then so 120 hours might sound daunting, but in all honesty, I did my 120 hours in probably like less than 60 hours, and that's including like the coursework, the tests that I had to do, and then the final like exam and assignments. Like altogether, it probably took me 60 hours, which is not long. So you can do it part-time or you can do it full-time. Obviously, if you do it part-time, it could take up to 6 months, which they allow you 6 months to do it. So that's cool. So next is applying for online jobs. So I work for this company called iTutorGroup. They are like one of the largest online education platforms or organizations in the world. But there are hundreds of companies like them. So you can apply directly to these companies, or there are a couple of portals that you can make use of that actually list current companies that are looking for employees, and you can directly just apply with these companies. I'll put the links below of these companies as well, of these portals that you can use. If you are, however, interested in iTutorGroup, and I know iTutorGroup do hire people from South Africa as long as you have a degree, I'll put a link below for you to apply with my code. I don't know if this is true, but I was told by a recruiter that apparently if you use a referral code, you're more likely to get an interview or a job, or I don't know. So just use it. I do get a little bit of money from it, so I would appreciate it. So in order for you to apply, you need to have a good CV. This is the part where it gets interesting. So you need to highlight everything you have done in your career or in your life that is remotely related to teaching, working with children, or anything of that sort. So babysitting, any tutoring you've done, au pairing you've done, your neighbor's niece that you helped with homework, your one colleague who is from a foreign country and you help them with some translations, literally anything, including certifications, courses that you've done. So like you've done a one-day leadership course or a first aid course, or anything that could remotely somehow be linked to like working with people, teaching, leadership, anything like that, list it to your benefit to try and give them as much information as possible. They aren't going to throw your CV away because it's too long or has too much, rather more than less for this specific position, not for others. Then you might also have to make a video. I did make a video. It's not the best. I'll put a link below to it. You can use it as kind of like a framework or a template. But it's just like, I think I watched a lot of other videos and I read a lot of things before I made my video. And one of the things that stuck out was just like, make it extremely personal. So just try and be as comfortable as you can in the video and just like talk. Tell them about yourself, your name, your background, why you are good for a job like that. And then like just add in like extra little things. So like I spoke about how I grew up in a second, where English, was a second language in my household. And my whole entire life I've had to deal with people whose English is their second language. So I felt that would probably a little bit of an added benefit for me. So find your like little niche and like play on that in your video. Just to finish off, some extra tips, watch YouTube videos. There are so many videos out there from other online English teachers from various different companies that have been doing this for a long time and can probably give you some really good advice. Just watch those to help you with like interviews, with making your video, with getting to understand the company that perhaps you're applying for. Those are really, 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 really good. And then when it does come down to your interview, make sure that you have all of the equipment at hand. So make sure you have the headset, make sure that you have good lighting, make sure that your computer is working properly, and so is your video, and definitely make sure your internet is good. And then lastly, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm always here to help. Obviously, I worked as a recruiter for 5 years before this, so if you also want some tips on your CV, I'll try my best to help. I really hope that this helped, and I really hope that for those of you that are definitely interested, that you are able to find something. Thanks. Bye.